Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. Hey, how's everybody doing on this Friday night? I hope that this audio video finds everybody doing well as always. Happy spring tomorrow. Yes, we waited a little bit for this, but here it is. You know, a great way to celebrate things. It doesn't have to be like a humongous thing to do, but every once in a while, isn't it fun to just, take out an old cake mix and some frosting, just put it together and have a somewhat fast celebration? It's fun to do stuff like that now, isn't it? Sure. That's why it's always great to keep on hand some cake mixes, some frostings, and sometimes if you do the math, there are times it actually comes out less expensive to have that cake mix on hand as opposed to always having all of the ingredients. If you are a person that doesn't necessarily use or need all the other ingredients, sometimes many times actually, you're better off just buying some of these cake mixes on hand and having them. You could get some great sales at certain times of the year, near the holidays usually. But that's not what this particular video is about, although everything I just said is absolutely the truth. What I was thinking of, and to mention to those that are new here, and if you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are a veteran here, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody, in fact. I just want to mention something that has been really a habit of mine that I have incorporated for quite some time. It's really quite second nature to me, to be honest with you. And I call it Jan's Rule of Half. What do I mean by rule of half? Now let's look at this box of the Duncan Hines Perfectly Moist Carrot Cake, for example. And also the Duncan Hines nice creamy cream cheese frosting. Okay. Do you realize you don't have to necessarily make the entire box? You're like, what? How can you measure this out? Let me tell you what I do. Any sort of boxed cake mix, this is my rule of half. I take that mix, I take the bag that it's in, that plastic bag that, all the mix is in, I shake it together, I knead it around with my fingers, making sure all the powder is mixed up into it. But then I take a twist, making it look like an hourglass kind of thing. So I go to the middle from both sides and I pinch it to the middle. And then I twist. And what I do is I cut a little bit off the top on the side to make a little hole. So it pours out the first half while I'm holding the center together. Just imagine an hourglass, the shape of an hourglass. And you're holding the center of it together as it empties out to that point. I will have poured out half of the mix. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, why would I do that? Very simply, so I get 2 sessions of baking at different intervals. I don't necessarily need to have a 13 by 9 pan of a cake around. I don't necessarily need to or want to or desire to make 24 cupcakes. I could be perfectly happy with 1 dozen cupcakes. And the same thing holds true with the frosting. Now, when it comes to the frosting, you could go as thick as you want or as thinly as you want. Generally speaking, what I like to do is, for example, and if you prefer to make the whole mix at the same time, that's totally fine too. Then you could half it that way. Did you realize if you have, for example, an 8-inch pan, an 8-inch round pan when you're baking, you can make 2 of those. You don't have to make it a layer cake. You could take one of the layers and frost one of the layers, and that is your cake. And you could freeze the remainder for the following week or whatever. This is really a great way to slow down your spending and still have the convenience of the boxed cake mix. You can do it. Another thing, you can repurpose your boxed cake mix. Almost any boxed cake mix can be turned into cookies. Yes, and there are plenty of videos out there, and I even did the same thing with boxed brownie mix, and I need to include that, find that video and enter it into the description box below. Yes, you can make brownie cookies from brownie cake mix. So not only do you get more bang for your buck, but you're actually repurposing. So this is just like a tiny example of my rule of half. it slows down your spending habits. Now, you could do the same thing with watering things down. For example, I never drink straight orange juice. Actually, I've actually lost my desire for that. I much rather do what my mom did. She used to take some water and she would water it down. And let me tell you, it stretched her orange juice budget and it tasted great. I have no problem with that. I'll tell you another cute trick my mom used to do. She would take orange juice concentrate and lemonade concentrate, and she would put those two things together, and then she would like double up the recipe, because lemonade concentrate is usually much less rather expensive than the orange juice concentrate, at least back in her time. I don't know if that same thing holds true, but I have a suspicion it does. So don't quote me on it, but it makes a great flavor, the orange and lemon together. And what she would do, like for example, if she would pack us up a day at the beach, for example, then that would be the case. So it would really work out. It was delicious. That was her rule of half, and in saving money that way. So you could get creative. Find ways that you too can go halvesies on something. So it works out really, really great, and it is not impossible to take box cake mix, do the rule of half. 12 cupcakes is just fine. Do not need to have 24 at the same time. But that's me. If it's just you and someone else, I'm just saying. So find creative ways that you two can improvise Jan's rule of half, slow down your spending, and start saving. There you go. And in the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thank you so much for listening, and I really do appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Have a great weekend, everyone.